Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambham Śaṅkarācārya madhyamam Asmadācārya paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Mūkam karoti vācālam Pangum langayate girim Yadkripatamaham vande Paramanandamadhavam. Om Sishyatma Samarpan Karpanya dosho upahata swabhavaha Pritchami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha Yashreyasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Om. And we are in the Shloka number 46 of Bhagavad Gītā, chapter 2. The Shloka goes like this. Yavanartha udapane sarvatas samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Going word by word, Yavan arthaha, the extent to which something provides a utility. Udapane, a well of water. Sarvataha, surrounded by samplutodake. Sampluta udake, a reservoir of good water. Tavan sarveshu vedeshu. Similarly, it's very comparable. Sarveshu vedeshu, all the Vedas. So the term Veda can represent the Karma Kanda or the Jnana Kanda, or sometimes the term Veda, if you look at it from the Vidya point of view, it can include all of the Shruti and the Smriti as well. So here the Sarveshu Vedeshu represents Shruti as well as Smriti. Brahmanasya, about the Parabrahma. Vijanatah, one who has attained the knowledge of. In this shloka, Bhagavan emphasizes that the end result of Karma Yoga is indeed Moksha. He will say this in direct reference later, which comes in Shloka number 5 of chapter 5. Yat Sankhya prapyate sthanam tad yogam yogairapi gamyate ekam sankyam cha yogam cha yah pashyati sa pashyati. So here Bhagavan has directly said that yat sankyam prapyate sthanam. Through the Atma-jnana, the position that you attain, tad yogaihi api gamyate. That is the same thing that Karma Yogi also attains. Ekam Sankhyam cha Yogam cha. They both are one and the same. And yaha pashyati saha pashyati. One who sees this way is the only true seer, is the way that he will be telling in the chapter 5. But here he indicates it to say that the end result of Karma Yoga is indeed Moksha. This shloka contains 4 important ideas. The limitation of Karma Kanda, the completeness of Brahma-jñāna, the transition from Karma Yoga to Jnana Yoga, and the inner maturity required for liberation. Let us take the look at the first part, Yavan Artha Udapane, the usefulness of a small well. What does a well provide? It provides you limited water for limited needs and only under certain conditions, that you have a rope, that you are able to pull it, and so on and so forth. This represents Karma Kanda's prescriptions, Yoga Kshemam, with limited goals, which is Bhogam Aishwaryam, Kulam Lokam. These are all the things that we are talking of Prapti in the Karma Kanda. Like well, which serves a very limited purpose, Karma Kanda as well is limited by the purpose. How do we say that? As per the Vedanta, as per the Vedic tradition, even if a person performs the best of the karma kanda and attains, say, Swarga, after his punya is depleted, kshine punye is the way that it is used, right? Once the punya is gone, the jivan has to come back to the mrityu loka to pursue the path of jnana marga. It is only through jnana that the kaivalya, jnanat evatu kaivalyam, is the way that Upanishadic mantra goes, Kaivalya Upanishad. The karma kanda is limited by the purpose. Every karma is prescribed and limited to a phalashruti. For the purpose of Panditji, who has joined us recently, I want to just emphasize that there is a difference between karma and the karma yoga. Karma yoga is equated to the same phalam as jnana yoga. However, karma is limited by its extent to which it can take you. That is the main aspect that is covered in this part of the shloka. Yavan artha udapane. Sarvatah sampluta udake. Samplutodake. A flood water lake surrounded by limitless, accessible, good source of water. The key is it does not require a separate effort to draw the water. So this represents Brahma-jñāna, the Advaita realization of Atma, the state of Nistraigunyaha that we saw in the previous shloka. The Brahma-jñāna, which is Advaita Darshanam, is the way that we put it in the tradition, because it says, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. When you go in accordance with that, the Atma Swarupam of Jivatma is indeed the same as the Paramatma Swarupam. That is what is getting established here. Once it is attained, the little well becomes irrelevant. In other words, the karma kanda becomes irrelevant. Not wrong, but it's not necessary. That is what is the main thing that we have to keep in mind. Tavan sarveshu vedeshu. All Vedas includes Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Karmakanda, Upasana, Vedanta, Jnanakanda, whatever you put it. All Vedas. This is included in the Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu. All that Veda teaches, the karma or the purification, everything finds its highest fulfillment in Brahma-jñāna. That is the indication that is put in this particular place. Karma kanda is not removed. We are not cancelling it. It is not negated. What happens is, when we start looking at things, we try to go towards that. As we have seen earlier also in the classes, where the moment I say Atma and Anatma, Anatma is looked down upon. Right? And in several teachings, they put the Anatma down. When you put Anatma down, you have split. The moment you split it, that Ekatva Siddhi doesn't happen. And when the Ekatva Siddhi doesn't happen, the Brahma-jñāna is also not realized, can never be realized. It gets to the realization only upon the completion of both of them taken into consideration. When Brahma-jñāna is there, it means it is a consolidated form of knowledge of both. We connect to the Shloka number 33 in chapter 4 as a reference. All karma culminates in knowledge. There is a reference that we take from Chandogya Upanishad and Kathopanishad also. There are Upanishadic references as well, which says that that is the path, means through karma, you go towards the jnana. That is what is the main indication that comes here. The fourth chapter 33rd Shloka goes like this: Shreyan dravyamayad yajna jnana yajna parantapa sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. So here it is very clearly and directly Bhagavan says. But the way that he puts it is, he puts it in gradation. Shreyan dravyamayad yajnah. Better than, more suitable, or more wonderful, or more a thing that brings goodness to you, shreyas to you, is jnana yajnah, is the class that you are attending, which is part of the Shravanam. And then Mananam is there, Nitidhyasanam is there. Put together, that is what is a Jnana Yajna. So, more than or better than the Dravya based, right? The Havan jo karte hai, that kind of Dravya based Yajna, the Jnana Yajna is superior in nature. That is the way that Bhagavan has said. It doesn't mean, as we have seen earlier too, it doesn't mean we negate it. It doesn't mean we look down upon it. What the emphasis here is, while pursuing this particular karma path, the karma kanda path, you must also be engaged in jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is much more difficult to continue in the path. And hence, Bhagavan is praising it, saying, Shreyan dravyamayad yajna jnana yajna parantapa. Then sarva karma khilam partha, every kind of karma that you are looking at, entire thing, is jnane parisamapyate, ends up in the jnana. So that jnana is what we are after. That jnana is what we need to be looking towards. The last part is brahmanasya vijanatah, the knower and the knowing. This phrase is the heart of the shloka. Now, when I directly look at it, brahmanasya vijanatah, I know about Brahman, is the normal thing that we say. The prefix of V is very, very important here. The V gives a Vishesha Rupam to the Jnanam. It is an immediate recognition, or it is the realization that Atma is the Parabrahma. The Brahma Swarupam is what I call as I without even knowing it. And getting to know of it and realizing that I am not this body is paramount to understanding that Aham Brahmasmi. When that Aham Brahmasmi realization takes place, the transactional difference of I and you will also fade away in your way of looking at the world. That is the most important thing. Brahmana refers to Karma Yogi, becomes eligible. This Brahmana is specifically made to refer to Karma Yogi from the point of view of the Mundaka Upanishad, the 12th mantra, the famous one. Parikshalokan karmachitan brahmano nirveda mayat is the way that mantra goes. Parikshalokan karmachitan lokan is brahmana. Right. So that is the context that we are talking about. The Jivatma Swarupam, who indulges in examining what is happening around him, or being in the awareness of what is happening around him. When he vijanatah, viseshena jnanam, when he attains the realization of Atma, then he is the jnani for whom the comparison that all the Vedas have no relevance. The other way is Brahmana as a concept of Brahman, the wholesome of Atma and Anatma. One who has a direct and absolute knowledge of the Brahman. Now here what we have done is Brahmanasya Vijanatah, about the Parabrahma, one who has got the Vishesha Jnanam. So now you can see that either I can use the term Brahman to indicate a mumukshu who is on the path of knowing and realizing ultimately, or we can make it as the object to make a reference in terms of Vijanatah, where we emphasizes that it is not an object that you recognize, but it is the subject. That change will happen. That is why we use the term Vijanatah. A very beautiful emphasis here. As you can see, there are both the kind of interpretations are correct, but we need to understand the difference between subject and object and look at the subject as subject and equate it to Brahman. Going further, Karma Kanda becomes unnecessary when knowledge is gained. When Atma-jnana is revealed into you, all other karmas have nothing additional to offer. The seeker ceases to exist. And this again we have seen earlier, and we will see in several shlokas, right? Ananyas chintayanto mam, right? In there also, that ananya swarupam, there is no anyatha into that. It is not I doing X to get that Y. This dissolves in your perception of the world. When that happens, that is what is the emphasis here. The seeker ceases to exist. And hence, even if he is performing the karma, he remains an akarta. That is why knowledge is called Parama Purushartha or Mokṣa Sadhanam. Jnana Agnihi, because it burns down that Mamakaratvam and Ahankaram in you. Sarva Karma Nivartakaha, right? Because it removes the karta, there is no karma association to you. In addition, to Chandogya Upanishad, we will discuss this in Bhāṣyam. We also refer to Kathopanishad. In Kathopanishad, the mantra goes like this: Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo na medhaya na bahuna shrutena yame vaisha vrunute tena labhyah tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanum swam. This atma is not attained by speaking, pravachanam, by intellectual capability, by medha, or extensive scriptural study, bahushruta. It is attained only by the one whom Atman chooses. To such a person, the Atma reveals its own true nature. Very beautiful way. Here, when the Atma chooses, what is Atma? You always say, right, Mera Antaratma. That Atma has to choose. For that, you have to realize that particular Atma and allow that Atma to choose you. It takes time. This mantra establishes that karma, that is the intellectual effort, the ritual proficiency, does not reveal the Atma to you. You do not become a Vijanatah through karma kanda, which is like Udapanam, the well. The Brahma-jñānam or Atma-jñānam is self-revealing. You attain the position or capability to receive the jnana, and the jnana will come in search of you to offer itself. That is the way we put it. That is why the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is such an important thing. That sadhanam you have to do. When you do that particular sadhanam, the Atma will come towards you as you start dropping all your mamakaram and ahankaram on the actions and the things that you possess, that you think you possess. In Bhāṣyam, Śaṅkarācārya says, just as in the world, loke, when there are many small water sources like wells, ponds, etc., Kupa, Kadagam, Adi. So he just gives an example. Anekasmin, in any one particular well, Udapane, the water is limited. Parichinna Udake is the way that Śaṅkarācārya says. The purpose served by that well, like bathing or drinking, right, snana, panadi, is limited by the small quantity of water. But when there is a vast flood of water everywhere, all the needs are fulfilled by the many wells and ponds, right? They are automatically fulfilled. Tatra antarbhavati. No need to separately seek water from different wells, is the way that Śaṅkarācārya puts it. Further, he says, similarly, all the limited purposes mentioned in the Vedic actions, sarveshu vedeshu karmasu, right, are naturally fulfilled when someone realizes the ultimate truth. Paramartha tattvam vijanatah. That is when someone becomes a Brahmana, or one who is, we have also looked at it as who is a Brahman in another point of view. Janmana jayate shudraha. When you look at that particular shloka, it is Parabrahma vijanatah Brahmanah is the way that it ends. Now, for such self-realized person, all the fruits promised by karma are already included. Antarbhavati. Just like all small waters are included in the vast flood. Now he moves on and he says, therefore it is stated in the scripture, all the good that people do converge into that realized knowledge. And he quotes Chandogya Upanishad 4:1-4. And Krishna too will soon say, and this is also told by Śaṅkarācārya in his bhāṣyam, that is, all actions culminate in knowledge, which we saw earlier. Sarva karma khilam jnana parisamapyate. So, in Chandogya Upanishad, the mantra is yatha krutaya vijitaya adhareyaha sayantyevamenam sarvam tad bhisamithe yatkincha prajaha sadhu kurvanti yastadveda yasya vedasa mayai tadukta iti. Okay. This mantra is not very well known to me, so I was finding it difficult. Just as in the game of dice, when a person wins the toss called as krita, he automatically wins all the tosses. In the same way, whatever good work people do goes in the credit of Reikvan. If anyone knows what Reikva knows, he becomes like Reikva. This is how I would describe Reikva. The small story that comes in Chandogya Upanishad. The name of the king is not given, but it is described as a great grandson of King Jnana Shruti. However, further references are made as Jnana Shruti, and there is a thought that the king's name is also Jnana Shruti, but Upanishad does not say so. Once he will observe two swans flying overhead, talking to each other. When one praises the radiance of Jnana Shruti, the king, for excellent work that he has done, the other swan says that, come on, nothing like that of Reikva. This induces the thought in him to find who this Reikva is. And that is the situation under which this one is put. So here, what the mantra says is, just like whatever a person does as good deed becomes of that of Reikva, similar to how the person who wins the toss is considered to have won all the other tosses connected in the game of dice. That is the way that particular mantra goes. What it means is, we will see this in every other place. In several shlokas we will see, right? One of the beautiful one is, he who sees me everywhere, or in everything, and in everything he sees me, is dear to me, is the way that shloka goes, right? Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi pashyati. So this is an important quality. When you get the Atma-jnana, you will derive the same pleasure as, people in this class know that I like gulab jamun. So if someone else is eating the gulab jamun, I will derive the same pleasure as he is eating, as he is enjoying it. That sense of oneness will develop in us. When once that oneness has developed in you, it is immaterial who is doing what, he is doing, I am doing. Those kind of divisions vanish in your perception. You will not even be able to perceive like that in the world. They might have done something wrong to you, then also you will not be really disturbed by it. You are very clear. It is not like someone else is doing it. It is me who is doing it in his form. There is no difference. Atma is ekam. Paramatma is ekam. That knowledge will come, and that ekam is me too. Right? Bhagwan to ek hi hai, but main alag hu. That is the kind of thought that comes to our mind, right? Saying that, oh yeah, there is only one God, but I am not God. I am different. That difference will vanish. When the difference vanishes, everyone and everything becomes one. In that sense, what another person is doing is also the thing that I am doing. So that is also coming to me. I'm not disturbed by either of them, doing or not doing, or doing it wrongly, but at the same time, having a full awareness of what is being done. That ability, that ignited fire in you is what the objective of our Atma-jnana is. And this shloka helps us go towards that. Moving on. Sarva karmakhilam iti cha vakshati. It will also be said later that everything unites into one. Going into the 47th shloka. This is the most famous shloka that we have in Bhagavad Gītā, and it comes in various movies too, so it became very, very famous. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhuhu ma te sangostva karmani. Karmani eva adhikaraha te. Te is you, sahatau te. Karmani eva. That eva is very important. Only in actions, adhikaraha, you have the authority for. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma is not or never. Phaleshu, in the fruits of the actions. Kadachana, at any time, with no possibility whatsoever. And there are people who try to argue saying, yes, this is my right to get it. I'm not getting it. This is not happening. This is wrong. Here, what we are saying is, Bhagavan, who is giving the karma phala, is wrong, or Bhagavan is being partial. That is what we are implying, not even knowing what we are saying. So, ma phaleshu kadachana is another very important phrase for us. Then comes the things that are not generally spoken. Ma karma phala hetuhu bhuhu. Ma is no, never, not. Karma phala hetuhu means, or the cause for fruits of actions. Bhuhu, become. Ma te, also don't. Sangaha astu akarmani. Oh man, I cannot have any fruit, so why should I even perform an action? That should not be there. That is akarmani, in inaction. Don't put your attachment into inaction. Be very, very vibrant in your action. The Sattva Gun would have made you vibrant at all times. Nothing is going to pull you down. That aspect of it is also an important message. Going into the analysis, this is considered to be the Karma Yoga Lakshanam, the definition of Karma Yoga. Now we engage in activities. It could be duties, it could be pleasures, it could be obligation, it could just be a discipline that somebody has, sometimes just to escape boredom. There are various kinds of activities that we do. For all activities that we do, we get a result, some kind of phalam. There is a karta, the doer, which is in this quote unquote me, and there is a bhokta, who is the person who enjoys or suffers the fruits of that action. Now, what should the attitude be when we perform as a karta, or what should the attitude be when we receive the karma phalam as a bhokta? This is what is the definition. This is also the reason why we call karma yoga as buddhi yoga, because it is the attitude that you are working on, not an action. See, I say that, I have to do a yajna, Sudarshana Homam, like Jyoti did recently. When the Sudarshana Homam is being done, then she has to set the place up, she has to make the prasad. There are lots of activities that she has to take care. It is not like the Karma Yoga is not a specific action. Rather, it is maturing your attitude towards actions. And Bhagwan gave the introduction to it in 2.39. Esha te vihita sankhye buddhir yoge tvimam shrunu. So he was very clear that it is not karma yoga that he is talking about. It is buddhi yogam. It is the attitudinal aspect. Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. So he says that karma bandham goes away. Why? We have given the example. I am a construction worker. So this house was built by me. Does it mean it belongs to me? No. It belongs to the Yajaman for whom I built this house. When your attitude is different, the karma bandham also breaks. Remember, attitude is not an action. It is an expression of your sense to an action. For example, when I did not know that fire will burn, I stretched out my hands to touch the fire as a baby. Once I realized the impact of touching the fire, my attitude towards the fire changed. Knowledge about a thing helps in developing the right attitude towards the concept. That is why we read all these Vedantic scriptures, we go through classes, we do analysis, we have mananam, we have discussions and debates and so on and so forth. It is in order to change the attitude towards the action. And therefore, Bhagavan introduces Karma Yoga, giving critical knowledge about karma. Why do I say it is a critical knowledge? If you observe, even very learned ones misrepresent this concept. We have heard several people who say, Gita says, or Bhagavan says, just continue doing your karma and don't worry about the result. No, this is not what Bhagavan has said. We have seen the word by word meaning. You can call such people misleading the world, or look at it as this is another way of looking at the concept. This is the attitudinal change. This attitudinal change should happen in us. Maybe it is just a simpler way of communicating. Maybe it reaches several people. At least it is taking them from 0 to 10. So people need not be taken to 100 at all times. Right? This aspect needs to be kept in mind. And when you hear people talk about these shlokas and how they express the meaning, you look at the variance. Look at the way that I have expressed today, for example, and keep it in your reservoir. Look at someone else's. Keep it in your reservoir. Your Atma is Swayam Jyotihi. Your conscious principle, your Chaitanyam is Swayam Jyotihi. It will know what it is. My words may be wrong. My intent is not. And because my words are limited and it's perhaps even wrong, I may be misleading. But when you allow your Atman to burn the light in you, you will see the true intent that was communicated, not the words that were spoken. This is again the attitudinal shift. This is what we are talking about when we are looking at any karma that we perform. The attitude changes, and hence it is called Buddhi Yoga as well. So, what does Bhagavan say? Adhikaraha is the word that he has used. Karmani eva adhikaraha. The root for this is adhi plus kr. Kr is the root, meaning fitness, qualification, eligibility, preparedness. The upasarga adhi is over, above, superior, upon, on top of, etc. The root kr represents action, that is the karma, karta and karyam, and is the basis for prakriti. We have seen the two swarupam, the prakriti swarupam and the purusha swarupam. The prakriti has the basis on this karma, karta and karyam. That which produces is the meaning. What Bhagavan is saying is, your authority as a jivan is limited to performing an action. You have no control over or the authority over the results. The term kadachana means at any time, phaleshu in the fruits. The term control or authority is used in tradition. Niyantran, which is a very common word that we use in Hindi, or pramanya, authority, pramanyam. Okay, so when we talk of adhikar, we are talking of these two properties, niyantran and pramanyam, which is control and authority. So the right understanding is, and this must also be clearly understood, that control as well as authority must be exercised on actions. When you are performing an action, you cannot say karmanyeva adhikaraste. I don't want to do that. That adhikar is the word that you need to keep in mind, that when I am performing an action, I could be the simple, a developer, and I may be talking to the CAO. Right, CAO has control and authority on his role as a CAO, on the functions that he delivers. I have the control as well as the authority on the work that I do. Volleyball coach for 7 to 8-year-old children. Oh yeah, this is one of the examples that I had quoted. The adhikar, I had used this as the basis for teaching the children. This group of children, they were playing volleyball and they were not even able to hit the ball across the net into the other side. I went to the children and I told them that, what are you trying to do? Right? Everybody said, hit the ball across, hit the ball across. I said, don't hit the ball across and all. Focus on your hand. I showed the place where they want to hit the ball, and I told them that hit the ball in this place. Throw the ball up and hit the ball in this place. And in no time, their service became absolutely perfect. At that age, it was, most of them were going over the net. And you need to be focused on what is that action that you are performing. And on that action, exercise your control and authority. If you lack in any of them, you are not expressing the adhikar. So karmanyeva adhikaraste is not merely a knowledge, but also a clear knowledge being given to us, saying this is the way, this is your role as a karta. The definition of how you must be in performing your actions. Karma phalam. Shastra speaks of two kinds of phalam for every action. Drishta phalam and adrishta phalam. Karma happens in three planes, which is Karanam, Sukshmam, and Sthulam. In the causal stage, when I'm ideating something, right? In the Sukshmam stage, where I'm perhaps drafting it in a paper to say what is required to be done, when I'm defining the steps. And the Sthulam is the physical form, where I'm actually performing that action. In some places, Karanam is also called as Ati Sukshma. At a Karana level, the phalam is generally classified into papam and punyam. And they are reflected as vasanas, or internal impressions that drive the uniqueness in every being. The example that we have seen is I go to this shop, thousands of products, but only 5 of them attract me. Assuming others, I have gone with some specific purpose. It is not the attraction. But even when I just go to the shop, there are 5 things which I was not going for. They attract me, not the remaining 995. That is because of the vasana. At a sukshma level, one can identify it as a change that happens in your capabilities. I become better at it. When I started serving, and after I started serving, I continuously improved myself. I became very good at it. That capability maturity is what is happening at the sukshma level. And at the physical level, a change that you experience. The ball went across to the net, other side of the other side. At a karma phala concept, they are more conveniently defined as drishtam and adrishtam. At an ati sukshma level, it is purely adrishtam. You cannot see it at all. At a stula level, you can see it. Literally, you can measure it. But at a sukshma, the middle one, not ati sukshma, not the stulam, but at the sukshma level, one cannot say whether it is drishtam or whether it is adrishtam. It is in between the two. The reason is because it cannot be measured, but it can be felt, it can be realized. We define it for convenience only into drishta phalam and adrishta phalam. Experienced in direct form. I plant a tree and I enjoy the fruits. Adrishta phalam, experienced through sukham and dukkham. Right? This is what is called as the papam and punyam getting discharged. For example, I said I like gulab jamun. Now this gulab jamun gives me wonderful pleasure. Next day, I just go and try to pick up that gulab jamun. It is not giving me the same pleasure. The third day, I go and try to pick it up. It is giving me, I don't want to take it yet. Maybe I'll take it later. The fourth day, I eat it with a lot more pleasure. So the same thing, the same product has given me different experiences. So we can say for sure that experience is different from the object which seems to be providing that experience. Experience of sukham and dukkham is different from the experience that the object provides. This aspect of sukham and dukkham, the positive and negative feelings that you have in you, is the result, is the discharge of the adrishta phalam. The effect of karma yoga. In karma yoga, the drishta phalam becomes a prasad that we receive. No matter what it is, it may be favorable, it may be that which I liked, that which I was going towards, or it may be totally against it. I take it as a prasad. Whatever it is, I accept it. There is no adrishta phalam because the karta bhavam is removed. The adrishta phalam is not a phalam at all. It is purely a prasad. Again, that adrishta phalam of sukham and dukkham is also objectified in your own self. You are becoming a witness of the pleasure and the pain that this body is experiencing. That's it. I am not. I am apart from it. That is the elevation that it takes you to. But for those who practice karma yoga, they indeed get their phalam, which is chitta shuddhi. No, I am engaged in karma still. The reason is I have not become a jnani. I have not become an akarta. A jnani also may seem to be engaged in action. The fact is, he is not doing the action. We will speak about it in the 5th chapter. In fact, Bhagavan will say, Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran. Whatever he does, he doesn't do. That is the way that he will be talking about it. We will come to it in the chapter 5. But what is important is there is no adrishta phalam because he has elevated himself from the karta to a witness. There is a phalam that I get because I'm still a karta. And when I'm a karta, the phalam that I get is chitta shuddhi. A jnani is a nitya karma yogi. A mumukshu, like us, slip between karma and karma yoga. And for us, as a karta, which is karma bhavam, then I get chitta shuddhi because I have developed this Ishvara arpana buddhi. Kadachana, never ever. This emphasis is to declare that in any of the three planes, the karma phalam is Ishvara prasadam only. It is not in your control or it is not in your adhikar. That is the main thing that gets underscored in this shloka. Summary, your control and authority is only on performing the actions, never ever on the results. The word ma has multiple meanings. It is not one word, but three unrelated forms. We have a negation, a pronoun, and a noun. So ma is sometimes, if it precedes a verb, it is negation. So ma kuru, that is a kuru is do, don't do, right? So there ma becomes a prohibitive particle. If it is using asmad, meaning my or me, it comes in the pronoun variation in a sentence. Then that ma will represent me or my. If in case it comes as a measure, a unit of length of time, etc., it is used as a noun. Then it becomes a measure. Ma becomes a measure. So the same term ma can be interpreted in three ways in grammar. In this place, because it is associated with an action, it is a prohibitive particle. Now, alternate way of looking at this line is once an action has been performed, you have no control over the outcome that the action gives. The example given in the tradition is, I have the choice to eat what I want, but I have no control over the outcome of my action. For example, I have control over eating the prescribed medicine, but I have no control over whether it will heal or make the situation even worse. So that is another way of looking at it, saying ma phaleshu kadachana. Till the point of performing the action, you have the choice on what you want to do. That is the adhikar. Whether or not you want to do, how you want to do, everything you have got a control. But once an action is performed, the action mixes with the prakriti. The results produced are based on the way the nature reacts to all of the actions put together. Vyashti and samashti karma is something that we have seen earlier. The results are based on samashti karma, whereas actions are vyashti karma. The control can be exercised only in vyashti karma, which is limited to having contributory value to the samashti. Samashti karma results in what we perceive as an outcome. That is why if anybody says that I have achieved it, you can only laugh at them. And knowing it, if you are going to say it, you can only laugh at yourself. Because what came out, the outcome was the Prakriti put together delivering a result. What I did was only a contribution to from the Vyashti Karma point of view. This is another great lesson that we get from this shloka. In Sanskrit, hetu means cause, instrument, motivating factor, etc. But I think we can take a pause here. Time is 7:26. We have Panditji here today. So we can continue from this slide when we get into our next class. But again, this is a very beautiful shloka and worth investing a lot of time in analyzing it.
I am very honored. I'm very enlightened by the entire session. I think Guruji, the way you have explained, it's I cannot describe it in words.
Thank
Let's
you.
put it this way.
It is all your blessings,
No, no,
Panditji.
no, no, Guruji. It was my blessing from Lord that I met you,
Thank
and I
you.
was thinking, but really the karmane vadikaste mafaleshu kadachana, it's misinterpreted every time, like you said. The actual meaning is something else which you described over here.
Oh, as I said, I will let you, your, what is it, Atman, bring the light into you. And there could be areas where you can help me improve in terms of what I have learned as well. That is what is Jnana, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Guruji. It's
Cool. Any questions you have? Are there any doubts in what has
no,
been explained?
no. I was just going through your lecture, and I was getting goosebumps while I'm going through this slok. This slok, the two slokas have such a vast and very depth meaning.
Indeed. Indeed. Yeah.
It's just incredible and amazing. Let's put it this
Thank
way,
you.
Guruji.
Thank you. Thank you, Panditji.
I learned a lot. Actually, you know, Shishyasteham Swadhimam Twam Parpannam, I would say to you. I, I'm your Sesha, Guruji.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Because
Hari Bhaiya.
yeah,
Sorry? Yeah.
because the unfortunate part is we don't get this kind of learning session, Guruji. These notes are prepared
Discussion.
by you.
Sorry?
These notes are prepared by you.
Correct. Actually, earlier I did not do this, but Prabhakar was the one who kind of, uh, you know, said, hey, it'll be good if in case we can have it. So I started doing this actually.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's wonderful
I
to hear.
can, there is a PDF version that I have been sending it across. I will send it to you again.
Yes, because I want to read this and study for the whole week, and then get
Definitely.
prepared for the next slok.
Definitely. Definitely, Panditji. Hari Bhaiya?
Guruji, you're the master of our guru's guru. You're great. I do have a question always, but the question was raised part of the class I was listening into. So, I mean, you have probably taught us already, but it always comes to 6 times to register in human brain. So when you do an action, right? You, and there are times that people mention that don't expect the results. You do the action, full involvement, do the right thing, and then keep it going, right?
Mhm.
What, and also probably arpana also, right? So like for dedicating to the God of that action in the mind, and then go do that action, right? What else to be keeping in the mind when you doing an action or taking an action?
So it is part of the Prakriti itself. If you take a
Hmm.
look at it, when you say you are performing an action, right, it is typically towards an objective. And once the objective is completed, we just finish that particular action. But the beauty of performing the action is not like there is one action and one outcome. That is not the way the life works.
Hmm.
It is sequence of actions that we perform before we get our objective. Right? Now, assuming that the karta bhavam is something different, right? Uh, Even for Lord Krishna, when he is driving the chariot, he has to, what is he, have that particular objective to perform the action. Whether I am performing the action, that attitude would not be there. But for any action to be performed, that steps needs to be known. What we do in Sandhya Vandana, if you uh, pay close attention, is we take several sankalpas. Right. First is Sayam Sandhyam Upasishye. Right. Kaladhita Argya Pradhanam Karishye. After there are several steps that I put together, and every time I take a sankalpa. Mamopata samasta duritakshayadvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham Sayam Sandhyam Gayatri Mahamantra Japam Karishye. Gayatri Upasthanam Karishye. So now all these are various steps put together, resulting in an outcome, in the objective. You can look at it from your office point of view also. Now, your attitude must be to perform, while performing the action, be a pure karta. Once that specific or the sub-action or the unit of action, when you are doing it, be done. And after that, open up your mind for jnata. See what is happening. Be in the awareness. If in case you have to change, be more than happy to change. Don't get bound by your commitment of the next steps and next steps and next steps. Be open to it, but continue the path till the time you reach your objective. And how you manage it is very similar to how we do our project management. That is what we talk about when you are performing a karta, realizing that the specific action, that karma, when you are doing, there is nothing else that disturbs you. It is fully focused there. Once it is completed, that action is done. And now we are looking into the objective, ensuring that our alignment is there. And then deciding on the next step, when to do, how to do, that is next. Whenever you want to do, you can do. Right? But while performing the action, that action focus must be absolute. Did I make sense to your question?
Yes, Guruji. It was excellent. Thank you so much.
Well, we are definitely honored to have you, Panditji, and we will be meeting again in our next class on Wednesday, the same
Yes,
time,
Guruji.
6:30 p.m.
Absolutely.
Only for India folks, it changes when the time shifts, but for us, it is going to be the same 6:30 p.m.
Yes, Guruji.
Okay? अच्छा जी. हरिः ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरि ओं तत्सत्